Modern trucks are becoming digital wonderlands, and something important has gotten lost in the mix, that raw, connected feel. This 2025 Nissan Frontier PRO-4X is something different. There's an honest mechanical quality here that's becoming increasingly rare. In a segment dominated by trucks that feel like piloting software instead of machinery, Nissan has created something refreshingly analog. In this episode, I'll show you why that's important and why it might be the Frontier's secret weapon against its tech-heavy rivals. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Makse, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, I do have a soft spot for Nissan trucks, but this 2025 Frontier PRO-4X is very different. I did have a Titan XD with a diesel for a little while, really enjoyed that truck, but this is completely different. It's a little smaller, and it is all analog. And before we get into what it's like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. For 2025, the Frontier gets a bunch of updates, but if I pay attention to the comments on this channel, this Frontier represents what a lot of you are asking for. For starters, towing capacity has been increased by 500 pounds across the board. The long wheelbase with the 6-foot bed is now offered across more trim levels, including Pro-4X. The exterior gets a mild styling update, and inside there's a standard telescoping steering column, along with a larger infotainment screen with wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. This, of course, uses body-on-frame construction. The engine is a 3.8-liter V6. It's naturally aspirated, makes 310 horsepower at 6,400 RPM and 281 pounds of torque at 4,400 RPM. Transmission's a 9-speed automatic. This is 4-wheel drive, and there is a 2-speed transfer case with 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. On this Pro-4X, there's an electronic locking rear diff, and it's a Dana rear axle. Suspension's based around double wishbones at the front, leaf springs at the rear with Bilstein off-road shocks on this Pro-4X. And since this is the off-roady Frontier, it comes with proper skid plates to protect vital components underneath, which I appreciate since my off-road driving style can best be described as enthusiastic geological sampling. Nah, just kidding. There are skid plates at the front, one to protect the transfer case and another to protect the fuel tank. Wheels and tires are 17s, and in the bed there's adjustable tie-down cleats and a 120-volt outlet. Towing capacity of this Pro-4X is 6,680 pounds, payload is 1,220 pounds, and curb weight of this Pro-4X crew cab with the long bed is 4,860 pounds. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this, and if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Behind the wheel, I'm happy for a bunch of reasons and unhappy for a couple, as we will get into. When you're in the driver's seat, you're faced with maybe what is a larger diameter steering wheel than what needs to be here, but it's a great shape, great size. Love the fact that there's lots of adjustment in the steering column, plenty of adjustment in the seat, so anybody can get seated perfectly here behind the wheel. Now, a word about the seat. Love how it's finished. This leather upholstery is actually quite nice. Very happy with it. But on the other hand, the adjustment is pretty basic, which is fine, but it's also limited. I'd like to get this seat cushion tilted up a little bit further than it's actually capable of adjusting. Other than that, I don't have any complaints. Love the lumbar adjustment, or at least my lower back does, so can't complain about that. And then once I'm here, I've got great visibility in all directions. You're just seated nice and high off the road, so you've got great visibility, and then we've got tall glass all around, decent size outboard mirrors, and we've got a decent automatic dimming mirror here in this Pro-4X. And of course, with your mirrors, when you adjust them properly, blind spots aren't real. One of the things I really like about the Frontier unlike a lot of the competition in this segment, is that I don't have to climb up into it. The hit point is actually perfect for me. Getting in and out of this thing, very, very easy. Now, if you go ahead and lift your Pro 4X, well, that's a different story, but from the factory, hit point is absolutely perfect. So getting in and out is a total breeze. Ergonomically, this is all very familiar Nissan, and it's all logically laid out. There's no learning curve here. It's very simple, very straightforward. A word about the climate controls. Thankfully, we've got buttons and dials, and it's not buried in the infotainment screen. That is great. But every once in a while, because I do use it on the automatic setting, it will blow hot or cold, and I'm not quite sure why. It's the way they've calibrated that system to adjust the cabin temperature. But other than that, I seem to have found a sweet spot around 70 or 71 degrees here in the cabin, or at least what's indicated, and that seems to work for me just fine. This big infotainment screen is exactly what you'd expect for 2025. The UI is all Nissan, so it's simple, straightforward, easy to use. You can use it on wired or wireless CarPlay or Android Auto, I suppose, but on CarPlay, it's rendered perfectly and works exactly the way you'd expect. One of the things I have to mention is this intelligent around view monitor, and the reason is they've raised the speed threshold for it to disengage and shut off to about 12 miles an hour. And what I find with other off-road trucks is that they disengage at much lower speeds. So this higher speed threshold makes a lot of sense for me, at least in the type of off-roading that happens in this part of the world, because it's very, very usable. I'm not rock crawling super, super slow. So in this part of the world, the off-roading has naturally higher speed, so this makes a lot of sense. And this seems to be a rare case of a new feature solving a real problem. In terms of spaciousness, front row is great. Lots of usable space here. It's an open and airy cabin. Lots of people can fit in here as well. And you and your passenger will be very, very comfortable. A couple of cup holders, some storage here, some bottle holders in the doors, and there's a wireless charger here, although if the going gets interesting when you're off-roading, the phone tends to bounce around, so you got to find another home for your phone. But on the road, it's absolutely perfect. In the second row, however, given that this is a mid-size truck, well, the second row doesn't have a tremendous amount of space. I can just fit behind myself in the seating position, so that second row is definitely not for bigger individuals. And as far as the bed goes, well, this has a lockable hard cover for the bed, which I really appreciate. And then in the bed, you've got those adjustable tie-downs, so you can pretty much put anything you like in this bed. It's very, very usable. And on top of that, on this Pro 4X, there is an electrical outlet in the bed, which is very helpful. One thing I have to note is that the cabin is surprisingly quiet relative to the Gladiator, which at highway speeds, you have to use the same vocal projection you would if you're ordering something through a drive-through with a broken speaker. Now, in terms of acceleration, a drag strip superstar, this is not, but there are some upsides. This will do 0 to 60 in a couple of ticks over 7 seconds. That's just fine. Top speed's limited to 113 miles an hour, I believe. But what is a pleasing experience is running this V6 all the way to redline. Redline's 7,000 RPM. And on top of that, Nissan's V6s just sound great. The power delivery of this V6 is much more linear than the Gladiator, which seems to vary between nothing's really happening and, oh, I guess we're drag racing now. Fun fact, even though this transfer case switch is extremely easy to use, Frontier drivers will spend 99.7% of the time in too high, according to actual user data. The automatic shifts smoothly, absolutely no issues. You can have manual control over the transmission by shifting the lever over here, and works just fine. You can easily switch this from 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low with this switch for the electronic transfer case. that makes your off-roading easy. It's such a breeze. And on top of that, there's that electronic locking diff at the back in case you need it. Now, for all the off-roading I've done, haven't needed it, but I have avoided some seriously sketchy terrain. But I have had some interesting experiences off-road with this Frontier Pro 4X, and it's been extremely sure-footed despite the less than full-blown off-road tire that this is equipped with. If I were more serious about my off-roading, I'd probably look at a different tire, but for everything that I've done and you've joined me on in this episode, it's been extremely sure-footed off-road. Both on and off-road, I have to appreciate how carefully this entire powertrain has been calibrated. It works perfectly in every situation. When we're off-road, does what it's supposed to do, and when we're on the road and even on the highway, it does exactly what you want it to do. There's a progressiveness to the throttle that allows you to apply it in small progressive increments, which is important when you're trying to crawl over something without spinning your tires or lurching forward. Combined with that locking rear diff, the Frontier gives you all the tools to maintain momentum without worrying about a whole bunch of wheel spin. It's like the difference between a light switch or a dimmer, and sometimes you just need that fine control, and this powertrain delivers. When it comes to handling, I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised with this Pro 4X because it's extremely versatile. Here on the road, the ride is comfortable, it's well controlled, and zero complaints. And then when we're off-road, these dampers and the rest of the suspension calibrations just do an excellent job of keeping these tires in contact with the road surface. I don't remember the last time I drove anything with hydraulically assisted steering. It might have been an older car, or it might have been a McLaren from a couple of years ago, but this is an incredible reminder of one of the things that we have lost. The feedback through the steering wheel as to what's going on with those two front tires is incredible. Compared to anything with electrically assisted steering, this is at another level. On the other hand, there's no variable assist here, so when it comes to parking or low speed turns, it requires a fair bit of input, but I'm willing to accept that trade-off for all the feedback it delivers. The steering is such a breath of fresh air with great heft and great feel, because in this segment, most of the competitors have the feedback of a Netflix thumbs up button. The four-wheel disc brakes are just a straightforward setup, but what I love about the braking system is the pedal feel. I have great feel through that pedal, as well as my ability to control this Frontier on any road surface. If I'm hustling on some pavement, I've got great control. And then if we're off-roading, I've got precise control over the speed of this Frontier to make sure that we, of course, don't hit anything and make sure we go exactly where we want to off-road. On the road, if you're throwing this through the corners, do expect some body roll, but at the end of the day, we are talking about a body-on-frame pickup truck. Thankfully, with the Bilstein dampers, it's got excellent body and wheel control. That is a real highlight. Whoever did the engineering and development on these shocks did an excellent job. And like the rest of the tech in this truck, there's just enough to support the driver. There's adaptive cruise and lane departure warning, and that's all I really want in a modern vehicle. How do you spec yours? Well, thankfully, it's a fairly easy question to answer. What you are looking at is a 2025 Nissan Frontier Pro 4X with the crew cab and the long bed, finished in 2025's signature afterburn orange with the black leather interior. In the US, this is a Pro 4X that's fully optioned. In Canada, it's called the Pro 4X Luxury. Base price in the US is $41,770, plus the Pro 4X convenience package, plus the Pro Premium package for a total as tested of $49,500. In Canada, base price is $52,685 for the Pro 4X. Add the Pro 4X Luxury package and you get an as-tested price of $60,266. That includes freight and fees, and that's before local incentives, taxes, etc. When it comes to speccing yours from the factory, there are just a couple of considerations. In the US, you have your choice between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and in the US and in Canada, you have your choice between the short bed and the long bed, and that's going to be up to you. After that, you do have to have a look at the long list of dealer-installed options, and that will get you pretty much anything you need for off-roading or any kind of outdoor adventure. Sure, the beadlock style wheel option costs extra with emphasis on style because they're not actual beadlocks, just like those muscles in your profile pic aren't actually muscles. A word on colors. Yes, this new Afterburn Orange costs a little bit extra as a premium paint option. Is it worth it? Absolutely. In a parking lot full of gray, white, and black vehicles, all of which scream I settled for what was on the dealer's lot, and having a truck in a distinctive color isn't just about aesthetics, it's actually practical. You'll never lose in a parking lot. It's more visible on trails, a legit safety consideration from time to time, and it'll likely hold its value better. Used car shoppers tend to pay more for distinctive colors on distinctive vehicles. Bolder gray paint is free and it looks good too, but it's the equivalent of ordering chicken in a restaurant. It's fine, but not entirely memorable. Life's too short to drive a boring truck, so definitely consider this distinctive Afterburn Orange paint. My verdict? Well, for this 2025 Pro-4X, I think Nissan has succeeded in updating the tech where it counts while still maintaining that genuine truck character that makes this much more engaging to drive. The hydraulically assisted steering still communicates what the front tires are doing. The naturally aspirated V6 delivers power in a linear way without any unpredictable turbo lag or boost. And even the suspension prioritizes control over isolation. Now, this approach won't appeal to everyone, and if you're looking for a tech showcase, definitely look elsewhere. But if you value driver engagement and mechanical honesty, the Frontier delivers something increasingly rare. And at this price point, it's a value proposition built on substance rather than just feature lists. Quick note about fuel consumption, not that I really care, but I'm getting about 15 miles per gallon or 15 liters per 100 kilometers from my Canadian friends, and I have not been paying attention to fuel consumption in any way. Love to hear what Frontier owners are getting in the real world, so please give us your thoughts on what real mileage should be in the comments below. In a world obsessed with digitizing every experience, this approach isn't outdated. It's what a lot of you have been asking for. This Frontier isn't the newest, fastest, or most technologically advanced truck in the segment, that's for sure, but it is the one that's least likely to cause you to question your financial decisions at 3 a.m. And I think this Frontier lives in that sweet spot between capable of doing truck things and not so expensive that I'm actually afraid of doing truck things with it. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this 2025 Nissan Frontier Pro-4X. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, well, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications like this, and as always, sharing is caring, so please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below, lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars don't understeer by themselves, not even Nissan Frontiers. And if you've hung around this long and are a fan of Nissan, well, have a look at one of my favorite new ones. It's the Z. Really enjoyed driving that, and it's still available with a manual. I think you'll appreciate that episode. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.